All right, so a very good evening to each and every one of you present for today's third live streaming session. Let me start the session by introducing myself. I am Harsh. I have 8 years of trading experience. I have been trading the financial markets, particularly the forex markets, the commodity markets, as well as the US indices. Correct? We have the S&P 500, we have the Dow Jones 30 and the Nasdaq 100. I am more of a technical trader where I am specializing in technical analysis, such as supply and demand, price action, order flow analysis, swing analysis, wave analysis, and Fibonacci retracement analysis as well. I have been blessed to be mentored and to be guided by some of the brightest minds in the financial markets. I have learned and gained experience from people who have acted as flow traders on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. I have also been successful in handling $25 million dollars worth of portfolio. And on top of that, I've also been successful in maintaining and generating a profitability between 30 to 35% on an annual basis. The reasons for sharing all the information to you so that you can be rest assured that the information that is being provided by Harsh to you is coming from a source of is basically coming from someone who has the experience, the knowledge, and the expertise when it comes to the financial markets. So let us start the third live streaming session. As you can see, where we would be focusing more on technical analysis, but it's very important for me to give you a clarity in terms of why people are attending this particular live streaming session, right? How many of you have been trading the financial markets? Please write down. I can see Dolphin Markets in the chat house. Hello. And I'm glad that you are attending this live streaming session, and I hope that you learn and get a lot of information from this live streaming session. So coming back to the question that I asked, how many people are actually making money in the financial markets? Are you aware about something that is called as trading logic, right? Let me ask you another question. How many of you have been have been encountering certain scenarios where the you have taken a trade and the markets have reversed for some reason, or let me ask you another question. Have any one of you encountered a scenario where you have taken a trade, it goes in your favor but starts to reverse and you exit only for the prices to continue back in the direction? Doesn't that make you feel frustrated? Doesn't that make you angry? How many of you have been taking trades and have lost money in the financial markets? Is it happening with you? Wait 1 second. Just give me a quick pause. I need to just rectify something. Give me a minute. A minute, please. So, as I was talking to you, how many of you have been facing such issues where you are in a scenario where either you're frustrated, maybe you are not making good amount of money, maybe you are scared because someone else has lost money, or maybe you might be following some other analyst who coincidentally you just started following and you trusted them too soon to lose your funds, right? I'm pretty sure many of you would be having these sore points, right? Because everyone who is understanding about dolphin markets, understanding about our live streaming sessions, have come to understand and have been very clear in terms of us providing consistent trading opportunity. Yes, the stock market has closed, but it is very important because if I'm not able to understand our community members, it doesn't make sense to carry with the live streaming sessions. So please be aware that we would be having a dialect, right? We will be having a good amount of conversations, And if I'm asking a particular question, I would love for everyone to respond back, right? So these are certain points or situations that people have encountered, whether they have taken trades and the prices have gone against, whether they have closed trades and the prices go more in their direction, or maybe they take trades and they lose money on trades, and the trades they do not take, they would have made money. So there is a lot of emotional roller coaster when it comes, for people who are new to the financial markets or who have just started the financial markets. We just want to showcase our credibility in terms of providing you with hot stock recommendations. When the Indian stock market is running, we do our best in terms of providing you with diligent and consistent money making strategies, right? So many of you who have questions or thoughts in their mind, is the live streaming session useful for me? It is, correct? If you have any questions, you can always get back down to me and ask me questions. We provide you not just with hot stock recommendation, which is very nice, right? Who doesn't like to make money? We also provide you with analysis. This current session will be mostly focusing on education aspects, right? Since I am a technical trader, I would be talking more about technical analysis, correct? So with all the points that I've discussed, I would have loved if people could have answered my questions, but nonetheless, I do understand everyone feels a little bit of or are afraid, to an extent, about losing money in the markets. Some people are scared, maybe because they would have lost money in the markets. Some people do not trust people easily because they must have trusted someone in the past and they lost money. But you have to keep those points aside. In these live streaming sessions, we are doing our best in terms of providing you with analysis, hot stock recommendations, and education, right? We have been consistently providing you with live hot stock recommendations, and we have been closing it consistently as well, right? With the latest trade being closed on the 3rd and 4th of Jan. So December. Last week we have taken trades and we have made considerable amount of profits, right? So if you have questions, if you are feeling, that is it the right one, please keep attending the live streaming sessions. And if you have any questions, just keep asking. We do focus more on the Indian share market in the first and second live streaming sessions, but since the markets are closed, we will be focusing on technical, right? So let's start with the first or the main focus for today is going to be mostly on technical trading strategy. How many of you are aware of what is a technical trading strategy? If you can, please write down in the chat box. It would be commendable, right? The more answers I'm getting, the better for you and better for me, so I can engage and I can, reciprocate, and I can help you even better, right? So how many of you are aware? If yes, you can type yes in the chat box. And if you're not aware about technical trading strategies, you can type no, right? Because I will get an answer, then I can help you more with explaining the majority, right? Whatever the answer comes out. So basically, we will be focusing on what technical analysis is. So it is basically a method of evaluating statistical trends in trading activity, right? Basically involving price, movement, and volume. It is used in identifying trading and investment opportunities. Now, many people would have heard about fundamental analysis. How many of you have heard about fundamental analysis? If yes, you can type yes in the chat box, and if no, you can type no in the chat box as well. When we hear about fundamental analysis, it's all about numbers, number crunching, financial reports, cash flow statements, bank statements, so on and so forth. So when we are comparing fundamental analysis with technical analysis, there is a good amount of difference. As mentioned, fundamental analysis is basically attempting to evaluate a security's value based on financial information such as sales earning. But technical analysis is focusing on price and volume to draw conclusions about future price movements. So, in terms of the main context of what technical analysis is, we are basically using price trends and patterns to identify potential investments or trading opportunities. And we believe that past trading opportunity, we will be looking at the charts also, but this is just to get a simple understanding into exactly what technical analysis is, how we can use past trading activity and changes in the price of a security, and how can we predict the future price movements. That is what technical analysis is, right? So in a crux, technical analysis may be contrasted with fundamental analysis, which focuses on a company's financials rather than historical price patterns or stock trends. So, anyways, let's now start with some of the basic technical analysis, and we will try to cover up as much as possible, starting with trends. How many of you in this particular live streaming session are aware of what is trend? Can anyone tell me what exactly is a trend as per your how much of understanding you have? If yes, you can just type down quickly what is a trend. If you understand what the trend is, you can say yes. If you don't understand, you can say no, right? Because the more response I get, the more I can help you, correct? So trend is nothing but a point that is able to connect as many pivots. The more number of points, it's a line basically. So a line that has been able to test as many pivot points as possible is considered to be a trend line. Now, if the trend line is in a positive slope, where the prices are appreciating, it is called as an uptrend line or a bull trend line. Similarly, if the prices are having are in the downtrend, and the line that is connecting the upper pivots as many as possible, those are called as a downward trend line or a bearish trend line, correct? So I hope everyone is understanding. Your reciprocation is of utmost importance, so that I am clear in terms of what I'm explaining, and I'll be happy for people to say that yes, Harsh, we are understanding quite well. Now, similarly to a trend line such as a bullish trend line and a bearish trend line, we also have sideways, where prices are just oscillating sideways, and the trend lines are basically acting as barriers for price to oscillate between the two, right? Now, with the trend line that has been explained to you, let us just quickly go to some of the charts and show you in terms of what trend lines and how we can just identify trend lines. All right. So let me take another stock, maybe some stock called any stock, right? Let us just pick up a stock which would be looking at, let's pick up Reliance. All right. So in terms of a trend line, let me give you a quick depiction of what a trend line would be actually looking as, correct? So in terms of a trend line that is being able to connect as many dots as possible, when a trend line is connecting as many pivot points, let me just highlight it. We got one, we got two, we got three. So when a trend line is holding and the prices are continuing downwards, we call this as a downward trend line, or we can even call it as a bearish trend line, right? So I hope people are able to understand. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me, and I will try my best to resolve your queries as well. Now, on the other side, if a trend line is being able to hold as many pivot points as possible, where prices are traveling in an upward direction, that is called as a bull trend line, right? With as many possible scenarios as possible, these are called as upward trend line or a bullish, right? Upward trend line or a bullish trend line. So I hope people are getting a clearer understanding of what I'm trying to project. We are just trying to focus on the technical analysis, different aspects when it comes to technical analysis. We do look at the definition and in terms of the PowerPoint, and then we try to come to the real charts, because it is on the charts that you can start getting better in terms of identifying and evaluating, right? So as we had talked about trend lines, We have bull trend lines, bullish trend lines, bearish trend lines, and neutral trend lines. When the prices are going sideways, right? Let me mark it for you by the help of a parallel. Okay, let me just put a line. When the prices are more or less on a sideways tangent, we call this as sideways, right? I hope people are. Now, whether it's a trend line or the next concept will be very similar to a trend line, but this is what a sideways trend line looks like, right? Now, let us get back to the PPT, and let us continue with the other concepts when it comes to technical trading strategies. Now, in terms of channels, anyone in the group who is aware of what is a channel? Uh, if yes, you can say yes, or you can type one, or if you are not aware, you can type two and say no. Now, when it comes to channel, it is nothing but a duplication of a trend line, so that there are two trend lines which are parallel to each other. As you can see on the screen, it is nothing but a trend line that has been duplicated, right? So we have a lower trend line and an upper trend line, and the prices are more or less bouncing within the range of the trend line. So we have, again, since the market moves in three directions, whether it is bullish movement, bearish movement, or sideways movement. Similarly, we have bullish trend line, bearish trend line, sideways trend line, bullish channel, bearish channel, and sideways channel. So these are some examples in terms of illustrations where the pivot line drawn is duplicated so that it acts as um, an area where prices are basically oscillating. All right, I hope people are able to understand. These are simple, basic yet very effective strategies, right? People generally tend to think that the more complex, the more advanced a strategy is, the more money you can make. Not necessarily. I mean, it's not the car, but the driver, right, who drives the car. I'm sure pretty much that people would have heard this particular saying. So, if you're focusing on the basics, that can also do very well when it comes to technical trading, correct? Now, let's come in terms of the next one. How many of you are aware of breakouts? Does it ring a bell in your head? If you have heard it, please do so by typing it in the chat box. And if no, you can let me know that as well. So, when it comes to breakouts, it is nothing but a trend line that has been taken out. The word itself is being resonated into the concept of the technical strategy. Breakout, something that has been broken out, right? So in this particular example, you can clearly see that there was a bearish trend line that was being held. At one point in time, the prices will eventually break the trend line. Once the prices break above or beyond a particular trend line, that is called as a breakout, right? So once a breakout takes place, it just basically depicts that the previous trend that was in control has been taken out, and now the trend has reversed. So this is what a breakout looks like, where in this particular example, the prices were going down, and as you can see, once the breakout took place, now the prices have started reversing from a bearish sentiment to a bullish sentiment. That is exactly what a breakout looks like. Similarly, on the other hand, we had where prices were in an upward movement or a bullish movement, and the breakout took place to the downside. So the bullish channel had been taken out, and that led to the formation of a bearish breakout, and prices that were bullish got converted to bearish sentiment. In terms of giving you practical examples, it is very important. Let us look at some other pairs that we can focus on. Let us talk about Adani, right? In terms of Adani, let me give you a concept of bearish to bullish breakout, right? So let me just draw. For this case, we can give you a very good example of this particular concept where the prices had been in a downward channel, where prices had been holding between a bearish channel and a breakout took place, right? So such a phenomenon where a downward or a downtrend has been taken out by a breakout. That showcases that the initial sentiment that was bearish has now reversed to becoming bullish. That is the crux or the basic concept of what a breakout is. I hope people are able to understand. I hope people are getting a good amount of information from what I am saying, right? Because I always want to make sure that I can always add value to everyone who is attending my live streaming sessions, right? So this is the clear example of a bearish to bullish breakout, right? And similarly, you can be, pretty clear with what a bullish to bearish breakout would be. Let me just show it to you in terms of a PowerPoint. This is an example of a bullish to bearish breakout, all right? I hope everyone is being able to understand. All right, now let's go into the next formations, which would be the basic formations, right? Support and resistance. Does the word ring a bell in your head? How many of you are aware of what is a support and what is a resistance? I'm pretty sure many of you would have heard the terminologies of support and resistance, correct? So, what is support and what is resistance? Sorry, when we're talking about support, you can imagine support to be like the floor of your house. When you're standing on the floor of your house, the floor is holding you, correct? You cannot go below the floor. I mean, unless you break it. So that is another, situation entirely. But a support is acting as a floor. Whenever prices come and reach the support, the prices bounce away from the support, right? So wherever a support is drawn, there is a general tendency for prices to bounce from that particular area. That is what a support is, correct? And if you're going to be looking at resistance, it is the inverse. Where the support was the floor, the resistance will be acting as a ceiling, right? How many of you would be, when we were small, we would be playing with, balls and with our friends. So whenever we would throw a ball to the ceiling, the ball would bounce back, correct? You cannot throw the ball and it cannot bounce back from the ceiling. So the ceiling is the resistance. So whenever prices test the ceiling or the resistance, they get reversed, right? As you can see in the example, that is a clear depiction of what a support is and what a resistance is, right? Let me just showcase it to you on the charts as well. Now, in terms of this, let us pick up another, example. Let us look at again. These examples are based on charts that are, this can be applied to any and every chart. Now, in terms of resistance, I have figured out a clear structure. We had a structure such as the one marked on your screens, right? I hope everyone can see it. Yes, all right, that is good to know. Now, this is a structure which is called as resistance, and it is basically acting as a ceiling where whenever the prices are coming to the structure of resistance, the prices are always being pushed, right? Whenever they come back to the resistance, the prices are being pushed down. So that is what a resistance looks like, right? And let me pick up another stock because this has low volatility. Maybe we can look at Wipro, right? Wipro is a very good company. So coming to Wipro, let me show you how a support would be looking as. Similarly, as we talked about resistance, we have something called as support, where prices are acting, where the structure is basically acting as a floor, preventing prices from going any lower. They act, and every time they come back to the structure, they bounce, right? This structure is basically called as support, right? I hope people are able to understand. Let me just minimize this for some time. All right, so I need to be very clear in terms of how many of you are understanding. It is fine. You don't have to be, too overwhelmed with the information that I'm sharing. It is for your benefit. If you have any doubts, if you have any queries, you can always get back to me, and I will do my level best in terms of providing you with a constructive feedback, right? So we talked about support and we talked about resistance, correct? Now let's look at the support resistance breakout. We had discussed about this, but before I tell, how many of you are aware of this concept? Does it ring any bell in your minds when we talk about a support resistance breakout? Well, it is basically a previous resistance that has been taken out by support. So when a structure is formed where a prior resistance, a previous resistance has been taken out, that resistance gets converted. It gets inversed, it becomes ulta, and that is, it becomes a support. So based on the structure on your screens, a previous resistance when taken out eventually becomes a support, and that is basically what a support resistance breakout is, right? In terms of the next a concept which is similar to support resistance. It all comes back into the concept of breakout, right? Anything that breaks out, whether it is a trend line, whether it is a channel. So these are basically breakout where the previous trend is reversed, right? And it needs to be going in the opposite direction. So we talked about support resistance breakout. Now we have something called as a squeeze and breakout. From the term itself, you must be aware that something that you constrict, that you get closer to, is called as squeezing, right? So in this particular example, it's becoming tighter and tighter as the prices are continuing down, eventually leading to a breakout where the prices have shot up in the upward direction. That is nothing but called as a squeeze and breakout. There are many terminologies when we are using, but please understand, a breakout is nothing but a previous trend that has been reversed. So that is in a nutshell called as breakout. Now we would be talking about double tops and double bottoms. How many of you are aware of this particular concept? It must be very common for many of you, especially for people who are learning and who have little bit of experience in the markets. They are very well versed with support resistance and double tops and double bottoms, right? From the name itself, you can quickly understand that double tops are nothing but two pivot points at the top. Double tops replicate the alphabet M, right? As you can see on the screen, it looks like the letter M. So when you have a double top forming, what we are looking for is the price to break the neckline. The neckline is basically the base of the letter M, or like the base of the mountains, right? So double tops look like two mountains which are adjacent to each other. The double top showcases that once the prices break below the neckline, we expect the prices to continue lower, right? So they are more of a reversal pattern, correct? Let us look at some examples on the charts so that people can be more clearer when we're talking. We have exactly a structure of a double top right in front of our eyes, right? I mean, that is the beauty of technical analysis. Whether you're looking at stocks, whether you're looking at forex, whether you're looking at gold or CFD or any other financial product, technical analysis can be beneficial to all the different kind of financial markets, right? So when we're talking about double top, we were talking even about the inverse of double top, which is basically double bottom, right? So when a double top is being talked about, it is coming as or forming the letter M, right? Where we basically want the prices to break a particular neckline and the prices should be continuing lower. Similarly to a double top, we also have something that is called as a double bottom, right? Where it is the inverse, where prices had created two lower bottoms, and once the prices breaks the neckline, we expect the prices to continue to the upward direction. So these are the variations of double tops and double bottoms, right? I hope people are understanding. It's so easy to understand. When we talk about double top, it denotes the letter or the alphabet M. And when we're talking about double bottom, it denotes the letter W, right? It's as simple as that. How many of you are understanding? I hope people are getting good amount of information. For some people, it might be basic. For some people, it might be new. For some people, it might be entertaining, right? I mean, as an each to each one on its own, I'm happy that people are at least reciprocating and getting more information from my live streaming sessions, correct? Now, coming to the next concept that we would be looking at, we would be talking about. So we talked about double tops and we talked about double bottom, right? I showed you the double bottom before even going to the chart. That is the beauty of Harsh, correct? Because we are trying to connect, similar concepts, whether it is breakouts or trend lines or channels, and put them together so that it is much easier to understand and evaluate, correct? Now we would be looking at none other than head and shoulders pattern. How many of you in this chat room are aware of the head and shoulders pattern? All right, it's not the head and shoulders shampoo that people are thinking about. When I knew that was coming, but I had to let you know well in advance. So, how many of you are aware? If yes, please go down into the chat box and type yes, we are aware. And people, if you are not aware, please let me know so that I can, explain it in much better and greater detail. So, looking at head and shoulder patterns, it is basically like us. We have two shoulders and we have one head. I'm pretty sure none of you have two heads and one shoulder, correct? So the structure goes where we have a left shoulder, we have a head, and we have a right shoulder. This is nothing but a head and shoulder pattern. It is very similar to a double top pattern, but instead of two tops, we have three, right? Yes, they might be with different sizes, but eventually it is more like a triple. It is a variation of a triple top pattern, right? So head and shoulder pattern looks exactly the way it is depicted to you on the chart. Remember, we are looking at Wipro on this particular hot stock, sorry, on this particular illustration. Similarly to how a double top is, we want the neckline to be taken out. Once the neckline is taken out, we expect prices to continue lower, correct? So that is what a head and shoulder pattern looks like. Let me just go and showcase it to you on a chart as well. We are exactly on Wipro as well. Let me just use another hot stock, right? Sorry, let me just show to you on another illustration. So in terms of, uh, let me give you a clearer example so that it can be easier. I cannot find on this. Let me just show it to you on the Nifty, right? I'm sure every one of you are following Nifty and the way the prices are moving. Um, so we have a structure which I've just evaluated for now, identified, sorry, and I would be focusing on the in. Let me just show you a head and shoulder, and then we will look at the inverse, right? So in terms of head and shoulder, we have a structure where we have a left shoulder, we have a head, and we have the right shoulder. So as I had mentioned, once the trend line is broken, oh sorry, once the trend line is broken, we expect the prices to continue. So we have a left shoulder, we have a head, and we have a right shoulder. I hope everyone is getting a clearer understanding in terms of what a head and shoulder is. Two shoulders, the left shoulder and the right shoulder, and the head in the center. That is nothing but a illustration of a head and shoulder. The moment the neckline is the moment the neckline is been taken out, that indicates that the prices will continue down. We have many illustrations when it comes to head and shoulder patterns, and let me show you some of them. All right, so we have different variations when it comes to the head and shoulder patterns. We have a typical head and shoulder pattern as the one that you can see. We have an inverted head and shoulders pattern where it is the inverse of a normal head and shoulders pattern. Then sometimes we can have different sizes of shoulders. Sometimes the left shoulder can be smaller, the right shoulder can be bigger, sometimes the right shoulder can be bigger, the left shoulder can be smaller. So when it comes to different variations in terms of head and shoulder patterns, these are the major depictions, right, when it comes to the illustration of head and shoulder patterns. Now, we will be having a quick look at what is a continuation pattern and what is a reversal pattern. How many of you are aware of the terminologies of continuation and reversal patterns, right? If yes, write down in the chat box. It would be lovely to get more answers of you. Remember, our live streaming sessions are more of having a conversation with you, right? We want to know our customers. We want to understand the psychic and the expectation of our customers, and based on that, we want to provide you with value information, correct? So when we're talking about continuation and reversal patterns, what is a continuation pattern? If the prices were previously in an uptrend, right, as you can see in the first diagram, there is a small consolidation phase, but eventually the meaning of continuation is to continue in the same direction, correct? So that is what prices do. If the prices were previously in an uptrend, the prices continue in the uptrend. We might have different formations where it could be a bullish flag pattern, or a pennant pattern, or a falling wedge, or an ascending triangle, or a symmetrical triangle. There are many terminologies, but the overall context remains the same, where prices were in one direction, they consolidate or they go sideways for some time only to break and continue in the same direction. That is a typical example of a continuation pattern. Like we talked about bullish patterns, there are bullish continuation patterns. We have bearish continuation patterns as well. When the price was bearish, they consolidated for some time and they continued lower. So I hope people are getting a clearer understanding, right, when it comes to structures in terms of bullish channels and bullish continuation patterns and bearish continuation patterns. So we talked about continuation, but what about reversal patterns, right? In terms of reversal patterns, we had discussed many patterns in the past, right? In the starting of this, in the beginning phase of the streaming session, we had talked about double tops, head and shoulders. So these are different concepts, but they fall under the reversal patterns, correct? So reversal patterns are some of the ones that are in front of your screen are bearish double top, bearish head and shoulders, rising wedge, expanding triangle, triple top. This is where prices were initially bullish. They created the structure or the pattern and they reverse. So those are reversal patterns. And similarly, we have the opposite patterns as well, where we have inverted or double bottom, inverted head and shoulders, falling wedge, expanding triangle. These are examples which are very useful in identifying and finding better opportunities. And then we have a typical example. How many of you can answer this? Can let me know the direction, or the whether is it a continuation pattern, or whether it is a reversal pattern. How many of you can tell me which chart pattern it is, continuation or reversal? Please let me know in the chat box. It would be very beneficial for me to know. All right, yes, that is correct. It is a continuation chart pattern, right? Now that is very good. Remember, there are so many structures when it comes to technical analysis. It gets quite exhaustive when covering about technical analysis because there is so much to cover, right? But today I just wanted to keep it crisp and short in terms of understanding the basic variations, and as and how we have our live streaming sessions, we will cover more in depth, right? These were mainly pertaining to the basic technical analysis, but the basic technical analysis are the most fundamental technical analysis as well, right? If your base is strong, you can build your technical analysis above it, right? Similar to a building. If the base of the building is strong, the building can be strong and can withstand all kind of calamities. So let me give you a quick assignment in terms of what we have discussed as of today, and it would be lovely for people to follow the assignment, right? So in terms of I would want you to take three pairs, right? Three stocks, okay, of your choice, any, right? It's your choice whether you want to select whichever stock, whether it's even in England stock, US stock, UK stock, it's up to you. But I want you to take any three stocks and I want you to mark trend lines, whether the trend lines are bullish, bearish, sideways or neutral. I want you to mark channels, where we would be, looking at the same thing, whether it is bullish, bearish, or sideways channels. Then I would be wanting you to look at and provide me with, not provide me, but it's for your own benefit, right? Breakouts, whether it is, you know, bullish to bearish or bearish to bullish, right? I hope you get the point. We had discussed and we had talked in detail about this. We will then look at, you know, so we have trend lines, we have channels, we have breakouts, we have all the other chart formations, right? So in terms of chart formations, we have, we got support, we got resistance, we got double top, we got double bottom, we got head and shoulders. So, sorry. So there are many. We talked about even reversal and continuation, right? So some of the continuation and reversal patterns, right? Like how a continuation pattern can be, we had discussed. So I want you to go and I want you to practice as much as possible. Remember, sorry, I had not shown you the screen, but this is what I want to showcase. So I'm just providing you with an assignment where I would love if you could practice whatever has been talked in today's live streaming session. I can do a lot of talking, but if you are not putting the learning into action, it will not be fruitful, right? So, for your betterment, I want you to take action, take any three stocks, and try to draw trend lines, channels, breakouts, resistance, supports, support resistance breakouts, squeeze breakout. We talked about double tops, double bottoms, head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders. Whatever has been discussed as of today, it would be lovely if you could just, take three stocks and just analyze the markets. The more you put into practice, the sharper your eyes will get in terms of analyzing. Okay, like how if I had to analyze, okay, the prices are continuing down. All right, so this is more or less of a bearish channel. All right, the prices are continuing up. All right, so now it is creating more of a bullish channel. You see, this is how quickly you can start to identify. Okay, there was a channel in the past that had been taken out. So now the prices have shifted from bearish to bullish, right? I hope you get the point. So because of the formation of a breakout. So all these terminologies can be quickly adapted based on how much of, attention you're putting. So again, let me just quickly showcase to you what the assignment is. Everyone who has who would love to take the assignment, please, it is for your benefit. I'm letting you take a screenshot and you can, take a screenshot, and during the weekend you can practice based on, what your feedback is. I would love to know your feedback. If you have any questions for me, I would love to answer them as well. So let us finish our third analysis session for today. Today being a Friday, I wish everyone a very happy weekend. You can spend good amount of time with your family, friends, and loved ones. And I will be looking forward to seeing you for the next week's first live streaming session, where we will again look at the English share market and analyze our hot stock recommendations, our watch list, and see how the trades are performing. And there would be good news coming up in the coming weeks as well, where we will be initially starting with our live streaming sessions in our private sessions, right? So I hope everyone has been paid a good amount of attention, and I've done my best in terms of providing you with valuable content. So everyone, I wish you a very great weekend, and I will see you in the next week's live streaming session. So until then, namaste and take care. Bye bye.